Every morning when you wake up, before your phone lights up, before the headlines tell you what's broken in the world, before somebody else's voice enters your head, there's one conversation you ought to have with yourself. And it starts with this: I am enough, I am worthy, I matter. That might sound simple, maybe even cliché, but it's the foundation of everything else that comes after. Because if you don't remind yourself of your worth, I promise you the world is waiting to define it for you. And the world doesn't always have your best interest at heart. Think about it. Most of us are trained from the time we're kids to measure ourselves by the scoreboard, by grades, by trophies, by approval, and later in life, by the job title, the bank account, the size of our house, the number of followers. And while there's nothing wrong with achievement, it becomes dangerous when we start confusing achievement with value. Your value is not conditional, it's not a negotiation. You carry it with you whether you're winning or losing, whether you're on top of the world or crawling through the mud. When you wake up and tell yourself, I am worthy, you're putting a stake in the ground. You're reminding yourself that no matter how today unfolds, that worth isn't up for grabs. Because the truth is, life's gonna test you. Somebody's gonna doubt you, criticize you, reject you. Somebody's gonna try to make you feel smaller so they can feel taller. And if you don't already believe in your own worth, those voices are gonna sound a whole lot louder than they should. See, affirming your worth isn't about arrogance. It's not about puffing up your chest or pretending you're better than anyone else. It's about anchoring yourself before the storm hits. It's about knowing that your value doesn't need a stamp of approval. You don't need the applause, the likes, the validation to prove that you belong here. You already do, and when you move through the world with that kind of inner confidence, the external noise has a whole lot less control over you. Now here's the part people miss. Telling yourself you're worthy doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean you've got it all figured out. It means you accept yourself in the process. You honor the fact that you're human, flawed, learning, evolving, but still deserving of love, respect, opportunity. You see, worth isn't the prize you get at the finish line. It's the fuel you need to run the race. Without it, you're running on empty. Every time you stand in front of the mirror, you've got a choice. You can look for what's missing, or you can recognize what's already there. You can point out the scars, the mistakes, the shortcomings, or you can say, that's me, still standing, still showing up, still worthy. And I'll tell you what, when you start affirming that every day, something powerful happens. You stop chasing approval. You stop begging for acceptance. You stop bending yourself into shapes that don't fit just to be liked. Instead, you start attracting people, opportunities, and experiences that align with the worth you've already claimed. Because here's the paradox: the more you try to prove you're worthy, the less you feel it. But the moment you decide you already are, you stop needing proof. You start living from a place of abundance instead of scarcity. And that changes everything. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you handle setbacks. This isn't about ignoring growth. It's not about settling for who you are today and refusing to evolve. It's about building your growth on solid ground. When you know your worth, you don't fear failure because you understand failure doesn't diminish you. It develops you. When you know your worth, rejection doesn't crush you. It redirects you. When you know your worth, success doesn't inflate you. It humbles you because you understand it doesn't define you either. So tomorrow morning, before the world rushes in, take a breath. Remind yourself, I am enough, I am worthy, I matter. Say it until you believe it. Say it until it quiets the doubt, until it drowns out the noise, until it becomes the soundtrack of how you live. Because when you affirm your worth before the world tests it, you don't just survive the day, you own it. And the truth is, nobody else can give you that. That's your job. That's your responsibility. That's your power. So don't wait for the world to tell you who you are. Tell yourself first, because the most powerful voice you'll ever hear is the one inside your own head. Make sure it's speaking truth. And if there's one truth to hold on to, it's this: you are already enough. Start living like it. Once you've got that foundation laid, that sense of worth, that grounding in who you are, there's another truth you need to tell yourself every day. And it goes like this: I am responsible for my choices, and my future depends on them. Now, responsibility is one of those words people like to dodge. It feels heavy, it feels restrictive, it feels like a burden. But here's the paradox. Responsibility is not a chain. It's the key to freedom. The moment you start owning your choices, instead of blaming circumstances or pointing the finger at someone else, you start to realize how much power you actually have over your own life. See, every day you're writing your future one decision at a time. What you say, what you do, what you focus on, it all adds up. Sometimes we think the big decisions, like where we work, who we marry, what city we live in, are the only ones that shape us. But the truth is, it's the small, daily choices that quietly carve out the architecture of our lives. Whether you choose to pick up the book or scroll the feed, whether you choose to exercise or hit snooze, whether you choose to speak up or stay silent, all of that builds into the kind of person you're becoming. And when you start telling yourself, I am responsible, something inside you shifts. You stop waiting for the world to save you. You stop hoping someone else is gonna hand you the life you've always dreamed of. Instead, you realize the life you're dreaming of is being built, brick by brick, by the choices you make when no one's watching. Now, responsibility doesn't mean control. You can't control everything. Storms come, markets crash, people leave, tragedies hit. But even in those moments, you still hold responsibility, not for what happens, but for how you respond. And the way you respond will define whether that moment breaks you, teaches you, or transforms you. There's a kind of psychological freedom that comes with responsibility. When you claim it, you stop living as a victim of circumstance. You stop letting excuses be your lullaby. You stop waiting for the perfect condition, the right timing, the magical sign. You start moving forward even when the ground isn't steady, because you know your steps matter more than the terrain. And here's the philosophical depth of it. Responsibility isn't just about you. It's about the ripple you create in the lives around you. Every choice you make influences someone else's path, your family, your friends, your co-workers, even strangers you might not ever meet. That's the weight and the beauty of it. Responsibility isn't just about steering your own ship, it's about realizing there are passengers on board who feel the wake of your decisions. Now, some people hear this and feel overwhelmed. They think, man, that's too much pressure. I can't carry all that. But here's the truth. Responsibility isn't about perfection. It's not about making the right call every single time. It's about owning the call you make, learning from it, and adjusting course. It's about refusing to hand off the pen when it comes to writing your story. Because the second you say, it's not my fault, it's not my problem, it's not my choice, you hand your pen to someone else. And that's when your story starts being written for you instead of by you. So when you wake up and remind yourself, I am responsible for my choices, you're reclaiming authorship. You're saying, I won't live by default, I'll live by design. That doesn't mean you won't stumble, it doesn't mean you won't regret, it doesn't mean you won't fail. You will, but responsibility takes failure and turns it into wisdom. It takes regret and turns it into resolve. It takes mistakes and turns them into milestones, and at the end of the day, responsibility gives you dignity. Because when you own your choices, you own your life. Nobody else gets to hold it over you. Nobody else gets to decide what's possible for you. That's your call. So tomorrow, when you stand in front of that mirror, after you tell yourself you're worthy, tell yourself this, I am responsible. Say it with conviction. Say it until it starts shaping the way you move, the way you act, the way you carry yourself. Because once you accept that responsibility isn't a weight, but a power, you stop running from it and you start running with it. And when you run with it, you realize something profound. Freedom isn't the absence of responsibility. Freedom is born the moment you embrace it. So tell yourself every day, my choices matter, my life is mine, and my future is waiting for me to step up and claim it.